Is there a sweeping conspiracy by law enforcement to cover up the truth about the murder of a Boston cop? Or is that just the story his girlfriend's telling because she doesn't want to go to jail for hitting him with her car? Right? That is what's being debated right now in this ongoing murder trial of Boston police officer John O'Keefe that has absolutely transfixed the city for more than 2 years now. And to be clear at the top, there are a ton of unknowns and disputed facts about this case. But what we do know is that O'Keefe was pronounced dead after his girlfriend, Karen Reed, found him with severe head injuries and hypothermia outside the home of a colleague at 6 a.m. in January of 2022. And according to Reed, she had been searching for him since she woke up on his couch at 4 a.m. and discovered that he hadn't come home from a night out. Reportedly, both Reed and O'Keefe had gone out drinking in the town of Canton, Massachusetts that night with a group of friends. With that group, including O'Keefe's co-worker on the force, Brian Albert, who invited people to his nearby home for late-night drinks. So just after midnight, Reed drove to Albert's house and O'Keefe got out of the car. But that is when we start hearing different stories. Prosecutors claim that O'Keefe and Reed, they had been fighting that night, and then she put her SUV in reverse, accelerated, intentionally hit him, and then left. And they say they have several pieces of evidence to back that up. First, the prosecution said in court documents that O'Keefe's DNA was recovered from a broken taillight on Reed's car and that shards of taillight had been found on his clothes. They also argued that the text and voicemails between the two in the weeks and even hours before his death, including angry voice messages the night of, showed a strained relationship. Also noting that witnesses had said that O'Keefe had told her he wanted to break up and that she had accused him of cheating. Beyond that, prosecutors further alleged that Reed had told friends that she drank so much that night that she didn't remember driving to Albert's house. But arguably the most damning evidence that they have is the fact that multiple emergency workers who responded to the scene have testified that they heard Reed repeatedly say, "I hit him," with one woman who helped search for O'Keefe saying that Reed had mentioned she had a crack in her taillight and even wondered out loud if she had hit him. But Reed, who was arrested 3 days later and charged with multiple crimes, she tells a different story. She's pleaded not guilty and denies ever harming O'Keefe. Instead, her lawyers have argued that he entered Albert's home and, while inside, he was fatally beaten and then dumped outside, claiming that Reed's actually being framed by Albert, his family, and both state and local police in a conspiracy to cover up the truth and protect the real murderer. And that story has been latched onto by a ton of people who believe Reed is innocent and have rallied to her support, starting the Free Karen Reed movement, with both Reed's lawyers and her supporters arguing that there are a number of inconsistencies here. Specifically, they say that O'Keefe's injuries are not consistent with being hit by a car, with them pointing to wounds on his arm that resemble bite marks, indicating that he was attacked by Albert's German Shepherd. There, you have prosecutors reporting that there was no dog DNA found on his body. And also the medical examiner who conducted O'Keefe's autopsy didn't find, quote, any obvious signs of an altercation or a fight. But also beyond that, Reed's lawyers and supporters have claimed that there are issues with the whole taillight situation, noting that surveillance footage of O'Keefe's house shows her car coming very close to his parked car and asserting that she had in fact hit it, shattering her light. Additionally, the defense has gotten some witnesses to say they didn't personally hear Reed say she hit O'Keefe and that they didn't see pieces of broken taillight at the scene, with some questioning why the shards weren't found in an initial search but turned up hours later after heavy snowfall. And Reed herself has also disputed the claims that she said she hit O'Keefe, insisting that in her shocked state she asked, "Did I hit him?" A question, not a confession. But also, according to the Free Karen Reed movement, the most suspicious part of all this is that the authorities recovered the cell phone of a woman who was in Albert's home that night and helped Reed look for O'Keefe the next day, with that phone showing the woman had searched "how long to die in cold" on Google at around 2:30 a.m., a few hours before the body was found. But there you saw prosecutors hitting back, arguing that the search had actually been typed after O'Keefe was discovered, but it was put into a tab that had been left open since 2:30, hence the timestamp. In fact, they say that Reed herself had requested that the woman make the search after finding O'Keefe unresponsive. But also, regardless of who the jury ultimately sides with, I mean, this whole trial has swirled up a ton of noise, with Reed's devoted squad of supporters launching protests demanding that she be freed, raising money for her cause, with sometimes their actions being described as a bit too loud, resulting in a judge ordering demonstrators to stay 200 feet away from the courthouse and banning anyone from the trial wearing clothing with pro-Reed slogans. Meanwhile, you also have more fuel being thrown on the fire by a popular but controversial Boston blogger known as Turtle Boy, who notably has written tons of articles promoting conspiracies and also has sold a bunch of pro-Reed merch, with him actually getting in so deep that he was arrested in October on charges of witness intimidation. Hell, shit has gotten so out of hand that you even had the district attorney leading the case taking the extremely rare step of issuing a video refuting and contradicting some of the conspiracies, saying that the people promoting them had harassed witnesses. But for now, our eyes are just kind of glued on this ongoing trial and seeing if we get any new information. Which, on that note, all this is developing in real time, so this isn't going to be the last time we talk about it.